Again, back to the biography, you guys are probably scratching your head. Why in the world would somebody from a BS in finance and investment management is up here speaking at a waterfowl summit? So today we're going to talk about the low interest rate environment, the European economy, and the effect it's going to have on the U.S. stock market. In reality, the Curry Island project is something unique, a project probably the first of its kind here in the state of Florida, where a group of hunters, a group of conservationists got together on a piece of land that was in total destruction habitat-wise and decided to do something about it. Let's see. Curry Island, right here in the purple, is on the northwest side of Lake Okeechobee. You got the thriving metropolis of Moorhaven right here, Lakeport, Buckhead Ridge, Kissimmee River coming in right here. Here's a little better map. You've got wonderful habitat over here. You got Fish Eating Creek, which all hunters know is just a wonderful, wonderful place for turkeys and deer, all different kind of game. You got Nicodemus Slough. You got Fish Eating Creek dumping into Lake Okeechobee right here. I believe is the only unobstructive water flow into Lake Okeechobee is right there near the Curry Island property. And here's a better view again of Fish Eating Creek. You've got Sportsman's Village cut right here. And this part of Curry Island is a current lease that Glades County has. Curry Island is a little over 2,700 acres that's owned by the state of Florida. Most down in here is more of wetlands. During the dry season of the lake, it can be dry in here. This is kind of uplands up in this area. And the history of Curry Island is different than most of Lake Okeechobee. And Byron, Mr. Florida nature historian over here, can probably give us a real good history. But from what I understand, it was drained somewhat for farmland, and there used to be cows wandering around on it. And I want to skip a couple of slides. This is what it looks like now. You would think by that slide with Fish Eating Creek and all that other beautiful habitat around here that this place would look good also. But it has become a dumping refuge for, in this case, somebody I guess that owned a landscaping business couldn't find a place for their waste. We have found big piles of concrete rubble where a construction company couldn't find places. They go dump all of that stuff there. And this looks like some of the slides that we saw earlier today from the presenters of what a marsh should not look like. And this is from the Curry Island project, from the Curry Island area, choked out in water lettuce and a lot of dog fennel, and up on the upland parts, it's just totally been taken over by Brazilian peppers. And pictures like this is why these group of hunters got together and decided to do something about it. And we just got frustrated at looking at what the potential of this piece of property could be. So now backing back up. Here's our current board of directors, myself, who you've heard my biography. A lot of you guys in this room know Andy Kay. He is he is a past DU Florida state chairman, life member and way above life member per perpetuity life or something, but the guy lives and breathes Ducks Unlimited, duck hunting, and habitat. Blaine Dickinson serves on the board of directors with me on the Coastal Conservation Association. Farrah Kay is a DU everything. She used to be the state treasurer in Arizona, moved back to Florida. Now she's really involved in the mid-coast area for Ducks Unlimited. Kevin Alexander's in the room here. He is a regional director for United Waterfowlers down in the South region. Rick Lyman, if you guys have hunted Lake Okeechobee or been out on the lake, he's been retired from FWC as a law enforcement officer for probably about 5 years. But he was in charge of law enforcement on the lake, I would say, for 20 plus years. There's nobody that I know of that knows every little crook and cranny and knows everything about the lake like Rick Lyman does. Lane Stevens is head of Allied Sportsmen up in Tallahassee, and he also sits on the board of directors with myself on the Future of Hunting in Florida. Jimmy Nelson is a big DU supporter up in the Jacksonville area, and he's retired and kind of set up shop down at Lakeport area near Curry Island. And Ken and Eli is also a local resident of Lakeport. We wanted a couple of strong sportsman, conservation-minded people that are, there, right there near the project, while the rest of us are kind of spread around the state. And kind of how we got this thing going was over a lot of drinks, a lot of beers, talking a lot at some DU banquets of what we can do about this. And we had, I believe Steve Rockwood, is he still in here? I think Steve Rockwood came out and looked at the property for FWC. Craig Lashak from Ducks Unlimited flew in from South Carolina, looked at the project, and we really started hammering up in Tallahassee, all the way up to the governor's office and DEP, that we want to do something about this property. We want to restore it, to bring the birds back and make it a great place for everybody to enjoy both the wildlife and the sportsmen. It took a couple of years, quite a few years. Finally, about 2 years ago, one of the last things before Governor Christ went out of office, Governor Christ and his cabinet signed over this 2,700-acre lease to a nonprofit organization that this group of guys and girls put together. They signed over this lease, 5-year renewing lease. But we were required to put together a management plan to present to ARC for approval. Boy, did we learn a lot in that management plan process. We really feel for what you land managers and things have to go through with that. We had no idea what was involved in anything like that. A whole lot more money than we ever expected, and it took a year to get done. But finally, this past spring, we got our management plan approved by ARC, and now we are ready to get off and running and start improving this habitat on Curry Island. Management goals. This is our biggest challenge that we're going to have on the property. A lot of these speakers you've already heard of talking about exotic species. This is the stuff that we have on Curry Island. Again, the uplands, you couldn't get a four-wheeler through it. All the Brazilian peppers growing up grass, and as you go down, through this area of the property, and it gets into dog fennel up in through here, and then just it's just a mess, and we don't really know how or where we're going to start, and that's where our partners come in. Working with FWC, working with Craig Lashak and his staff and Ducks Unlimited. None of us that sit on the board, as you see by my biography, their biographies are almost the same as mine. We just want to direct our resources and our connections and our friends with our partners to help us manage this piece of property and get rid of all of this stuff and replace it with the stuff that Steve Rockwood was talking about in his presentation. And another big problem that we have is Mr. Porky over here. When the company that we had hired to do the management plan for us, they gave us our draft. We're flipping through it, and all of a sudden we see this section about exotic species control animals and talking about feral hogs. Well, their main thing that we were going to do in the management plan was you guys need to hire trappers. And us as hunters are sitting there scratching our head and more banging our heads like, no. We are not going to pay somebody to come get these animals off this piece of property when we know so many people that are dying for a place that they can go to 24/7, 365 days a year, no quota permits, no fees, and go take their kids and their dogs and go have a good time on the property and get rid of this stuff for us. So a big secret to you guys, there's pigs at Curry Island. So any of you guys that want a place to go to in the summer and go hunting and put some barbecue on the grill, please help us in our management plan. Another management tool that we feel that has not been utilized to its fullest extent on Lake Okeechobee, especially during the dry season, is prescribed fire. And since we're a volunteer organization with limited funds, we feel that that's probably going to be one of the most cost-effective ways for us to manage this piece of property. A lot of areas on the lake, there was some spraying done last year up around the Buckhead Ridge area where spraying needed to be done. Cattails had just choked it out, and the interagency, which we're involved with for invasive species control, which includes FWC, South Florida Water Management District, the Corps of Engineers, Audubon Society. We all get on these phone calls and meetings and talk about how we're going to, help this problem all over the lake. And, they did a great job in spraying, but then we go there duck season, it's all choked out of vegetation that's the color of this wall. Whereas if, somebody just would have went through there with the right permitting and burned that out, that would have been a beautiful area to hunt and for waterfowl and all wading birds to enjoy this past winter. So we're really going to try to imply prescribed burning on the property. And here's some of the stuff that Steve Rockwood had in his presentation. Once we try to start getting these exotic species under control, these are some of the plants that we want to have come in and thrive, and we're going to ask Steve and his staff to help us and what we can do to make that possible. And another big thing that we're going to have to deal with, we're not going to have a lot of control over in the management of Curry Island, and that's the water level management of the lake. As a lot of you know, there's a lot of headbutting going on with that between the agricultural entities, the environmental groups, the hunters, the fishermen. Everybody wants a lake at a different level, and not even speaking this little thing called, we got to drink water in South Florida. But we're going to try to, work with the different agencies and, let them know what we need as far as restoring Curry Island to get it back to its natural state, what we need as far as water levels. In the area, there's a lot of these little critters and their nesting. So we're going to be working with the Audubon Society in ways that we can help the snail kite and their nesting while we're doing the restoration, but also helping restore the area so the snail kite can thrive. And before I go to the next slide, it's going to be on the recreational opportunities on Curry Island. And there's been a whole bunch of misconceptions and stuff going on over the last couple years that we weren't going to allow this, we're going to put a big fence around it. There was even going to be these World War II German, things on the beach, like D-Day, and we're going to sink the airboats to try to come on the property. Well, we voted against, doing that, but we decided to use shoulder-fired torpedoes. We've only had one hit. There's an infamous guide in the area, Captain Jeff, and his Mr. Peppy there, and we were able to make one hit and sink one airboat on the property. But no, everything is open 24/7, 365 days a year to all legal activity. Again, no quotas, no permits. All that we want to do and all that we've ever wanted to do is make this a better place to hunt, to fish, to view for both us and for a better place for the wildlife. Here's some of our things that we want to do. We want to have sponsor youth hunting days, enhancement of waterfowl habitat, wood duck nesting projects. We would love to work with FWC on their model duck research program. From what we've been told by the people that did our management plan for us, the upper part of our marsh would be a great place for model duck nesting. And we'd really like to enhance that and get with Steve and Jamie and Joe and everybody, to help that out. Sponsor scout activities, and we also want to work with the Florida Airboat Association. There's no airboat storm shelters in that area, and you get on that lake in the summertime in the afternoon, and those big thunder boomers come up really, really quick, and it would be nice to have a storm shelter somewhere in that area of the lake. We are getting our funding through donations through individuals, through foundations. We were very lucky from the Robin Weeks Foundation to get a very nice donation from that foundation to help us get started with this project. We have a lot of that money sitting at Ducks Unlimited, ready to get implemented and start using on the project. Grants and government agency funding. We look forward to working with FWC, especially on the spraying and the other agencies. And we've had fundraisers. First one we had was a sporting clay shoot at Quail Creek Plantation. Back this spring, we had close to 100 shooters for our first ever sporting clays event. A lot of great, wonderful time. We had kids there, we had ladies shooting, great barbecue, and we're going to be doing more stuff like that. And the real reason that all of us are doing this, these are my two kids right here, my two daughters. That smile on their face right there is why I'm up here talking today and why I put so much time into this. And there's 3 generations of Alexanders there on a duck hunt. So we really want to make this place kid-friendly and get the kids involved and teach them about conservation with this piece of land. And this project would have never got off the ground without Ducks Unlimited, Craig Lashak, and all the work that he helped us with United Waterfowlers, FWC, Diane Eggerman, and Nick Wiley were very instrumental in helping us get this off the ground. And UW took a great stance when all the controversy was going on. They kind of sat back and said, guys, we just need to sit back, wait and see what their true intentions are on this property. And once our management plan was approved and they read it, the board of directors of United Waterfowlers unanimously voted to support the management plan on the Curry Island project. And I can't thank United Waterfowlers enough for being patient while all the controversy and all the rumors were going around and waiting to see what was really going to happen. And in the meantime, we are a volunteer organization and we want you. We need sweat labor. We need help in fundraising. We need everything. We're not a government agency that has millions of dollars. We're going to do a lot of this work with ourselves with chainsaws and get our buddies that have a back end loader and doing stuff like that. So any way that you can help, we would greatly appreciate. We've got a Facebook page. It's where we try to keep everybody up to date on what we're doing and activities that we're doing out there and on our sporting clay shoot and everything else. And thank you very much.